Mash that button and first guest back 2023. So I appreciate you doing it.
Thanks for having me on.
Might be a little rusty, might swear a little bit too much, but I'm English, so fuck them all. Mate,
You're
I'm uh I'm always interested in like savages, right? And people that seem like they go against the social norm, right?
Mhm.
How did you get into the stuff that you're into?
Fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just started. I've been at this about 8 years now. I just started out with the intentions to do something fun to get fit and to get a little bit more motivated in life. And once I got a little bit of a taste for hitting people and what a fight preparation was like, um, yeah, I went down that road about 9 months into training. I started getting ready for my first fight. Realized I loved it, realized my coaches around me realized maybe I had some potential, and I've just stuck with it.
Wow. Have you had any backlash from fighting, whether with yourself, with like people around you, or anything like that?
Like altercation wise, or
No, it's in like like depending on where you are, right? Sometimes, like I mean, back home, boxing is a big thing, but if you don't box, it's kind of like, oh, why are you doing MMA? Why are you doing Muay Thai? Why are you doing BJJ or anything like that? So there's like this weird little stigma attached to it. Male, female, it doesn't really matter. It's like it's all boxing. And obviously, wherever you go elsewhere, it's going to have different stigmas attached to it. So have you had any of that?
not really. I think like this day and age, everyone's pretty accepting of it. Everyone's like it's not too like it's not a shocking thing for a female to be doing combat sport anymore. It's kind of, we're in a new age where it's I think it's a lot more accepted now. In the beginning, this is going back 8 years, my family wasn't too fond of the idea, but I think that's more just like, concern for your child getting hurt more than anything.
Mm.
But no, most people think it's pretty cool when you tell them about it, so not much
Yeah,
backlash at all.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool as fuck, right?
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you get in a fucking arena and kick shit out of someone. You're like, it's kind of rad.
Yeah, you kick the shit out of them or you get the shit kicked out of you, either or.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
there's something to be said, right? Because it breaks it down into like the very foundational components of life, right? It kind of breaks us into the animals that we really are. We like to, create these societies and cities and, have sophisticated quote unquote jobs where we sit at fucking desks and type into a
yeah,
screen, right? And it's like, well, guys, we're just animals that like to fight and fuck and then
yeah,
eat, and it's like if we
very
can
honest.
if we can kind of use that in a productive manner, then maybe we don't kind of, swing the other way and grab hold of vices and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's very raw, it's very honest. Yeah, you both get in there with this like mutual agreement to try and hurt each other.
Mm.
Um, yeah, just you both know that you're there to hurt each other till someone stops you trying to hurt each other, and yeah, I think it's beautiful like that.
Mm.
Mm,
There is a level of respect between opponents, right? Like
definitely.
that you can't
Mm,
really replicate that elsewhere. I mean, I can empathize with that with playing rugby. You're 100% going to hurt each other. I didn't really give a fuck about the score. Yeah, you want to win, but it's like I was at the front of the scrum, right? I just want to get one over on you. And usually that means you're going to get hurt. And that's kind of the way it is. And I know that they're going to do the same thing for me. And it's just this mutual respect that, again, I don't think we can replicate it outside of physicality.
yeah, I think even if you don't like the person who, most of the time I've never really had too much of a problem with anyone I fought, but you convince yourself for the whole prep that you don't like them, and every little thing they
Yeah.
do, you hate it. But I don't think you have a choice at the end of the day. Like even if you don't like them, you got to respect them.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's definitely something that we need more of, right? Mutual respect.
yeah.
Learning to
You see it,
respect. Sorry, what you said?
yeah, you just I was just gonna say you see it at the end of every fight. Like it doesn't matter what's happened in like a lead up or what happens in the fight. You see the fighters embraced because there's that unsaid respect between both fighters for the entire preparation.
For sure, for sure. And it's like you don't have to see eye to eye in everything, but it's still respecting the other person for their uniqueness and who they are, right? And I think that's really special. And I think sport is a special thing though, right? Like we can learn so much from it, regardless of what friggin' sport it is. It can be bloody lacrosse or water polo or fucking dancing or something. It doesn't really matter. We can learn so much from it. And I think we need to do a better job of encouraging people to just kind of move and learn through movement a little bit more, right?
Yeah, yeah. I always wonder how people get through life, like who don't do a sport, even if it's just as a hobby, even if it's
Mm,
just casual. Like it brings out a whole different side of you and perspective, and teamwork if it's a team sport, or you find out more about yourself if it's an individual sport. Yeah, I kind of wish everyone got involved in some kind of like competitive sport, even if it's just for fun on a weekend.
mm. Here's a question: what have you
Mm.
learned from fighting then?
Oh, so much. I could go on about it all day. um, I think a couple of the most like important things you learn is especially with fighting, and it happened to me actually. It happens to me every camp, but it happened to me last week too, is you learn how much fight you have within yourself. You learn where your barriers are and what you can take, and then it's not just physically, it's mentally as well. You learn how much like pressure you can take in a moment. You learn when your quitting point is, and then you learn how to push past that next time. And you learn how to just know your limits and push through them, become like braver and stronger, and just become like a better version of yourself. I feel like I become a better version every fight and every training session.
Mm.
Yeah.
Would you say you kind of unpeel a layer of yourself every time?
Yeah, I think you get a little bit exposed every time,
Mm.
especially with what we do. You're always looking to be better than the last one because your opponent's always studying the last outing. Everyone's always having a look at what you can do, so you're always looking to step it up and be like a better version the next time.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot from fighters. Doesn't really matter what art form that they practice, but a lot of the time they usually express that it's not like character building, it's character revealing, right? Majority
Mm.
of the case, yeah, okay, you're gonna build some character and you're gonna learn a lot of things, new things, skills, physically, mentally. That's great, but it really does unlock a pathway to understand yourself a little bit more, and I think that's really special
Yeah, yeah, I agree, big time.
for sure. Like
I
it, it,
think
it translates out to life,
like
right?
yeah, like you were saying before with like the vices and stuff. I think like constantly being in a confrontational situation, um, you learn outside of fighting to just live what I do, like a very chilled lifestyle, very low key lifestyle. You don't need to go out and seek these thrills and these confrontations because you're already getting that every single day anyway.
Yeah, you don't need to prove yourself, right? Because you've already
Yeah,
proved yourself to yourself.
yeah,
So
100%.
where do you go mentally before you step in that arena like a gladiator?
On the night specifically,
Mm,
there's a whole process. It normally starts with on the day it normally starts with, yeah, like fuck this bitch, like I'm gonna fuck you up. And then as the day progresses, you get to the venue, you see the crowd, you sort of, well, I become a bit more of a little kitty cat, and I think like, what am I doing? Like, you're doing this to yourself again. After you remember like how daunting it was last time, you start to question why you're there, if you're ready, how much fight you have within you. And then as a warm up, I start to get a little bit more comfortable with it, and you start to um, you think about all the things that can happen in the fight and how you're gonna address them. So I think about being put on my back and being held in mount and what I'm gonna do in that situation, how I'm gonna get through it. I think about being being dropped and hurt, and how I'm going to regroup in that situation. And there's a whole process. It takes me about an hour to warm up, and through that warm up, I go through all these motions the same time.
Mm,
The same they come at the same time every fight, and then by the time you walk out, like you're ready.
mm. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a whole
I'm
process.
I've never stepped in the arena to have a fight, right?
Yeah,
Um, but it seems like a meditative process, and I mean, you said something that just absolutely slapped me in the face of like you feel all the emotions and you go through all the emotions. And I'm like, again, I think that's so necessary. It's kind of this like I'm playing around with a concept at the moment of like self-suffering, right? And I think like humans need to self-suffer in a certain way. I don't mean like, you know, slit your wrists and crazy stuff like that. Don't take it to like the extreme, but like I think we need to put ourselves through some sort of suffering
yeah,
for us to feel kind of whole and purposeful, and that process to me just rings that bell of being like, oh, this athlete is putting herself through this to then go do something very fucking difficult. So then at the end of it, win or loss, doesn't really matter. You've come out and you've learned something, you've unpeeled that part of you. And I think that's again, I think that's fucking poetry in motion.
yeah, yeah. I think we need some discomfort. I think comfort's the enemy in
Yeah,
life. Yeah,
it's a bit freaky, right?
yeah,
You get complacent. The next thing you know, like you're not doing anything that is hard anymore.
yeah. You
You
live
know,
this mediocre
yeah,
life
man.
of no discomfort, no challenge, but then no reward either. So take
Is
your pick.
is that something that scares you? Complacency.
I don't think I've ever felt complacent yet. But I don't want to feel complacent. I don't want to feel mediocre. I don't want to be just like another girl that tried and failed, because there's so many stories of failure out there. This everyone says they're going to be the next thing, and they never are. So that's kind of my fear, is being another one of the people that are delusioned with the idea that they're going to make it to the top and never actually get there.
Mm. Why do you
Yeah.
think most people don't get there?
I think it's a number of things. I think we talk about this a lot, me and my team. I think a lot of it is delusion. Like I see it around a lot with a lot of other fighters, is they someone feeds their false ego. Someone makes them think that they're going to be something they're not. They think they're doing so much more than they are. Um, so I think that's one part of it. A second part of it is just um the discipline. I don't think a lot of people are disciplined enough. I don't think a lot of people go out there with the mindset in a fight that they are willing to die for it, or they are willing to give up everything just to win it. And then I think a lot of it is just general life, like life gets in the way. So whether it's when you get a little bit older and you get married and have, your kids, or your circle's different, um, your job changes, you can't give as much to the sport as you thought you could. Um, and maybe you're just not with the right team either. Like I see a
Mm.
lot of people with so much potential out there, um, but the team they're with is not going to get them where they're trying to go. And people are very loyal to their team. So even if deep down they know they're not going to make it with that person, they'll stay. Um, yeah, I think it's going to take as much from a team as it does from yourself to get you to the top.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. The people that you surround yourself with is so friggin' important. My mom always used to tell me that people are either radiators or drains. Like there is no in between, and you have to kind of identify who's who, and obviously try and stay away from drains and keep close to the
Yeah,
radiators, right? And
yeah,
it's quite hard, if you've invested a lot of time, money, and energy into people, right? Especially in terms of a coaching team in a sport, and then you come to the realization you're like, maybe we're going in different directions now. But I think hard conversations is always the right thing to do.
yeah.
Just
especially when it's your career at the end of the day. Like
yeah.
you only got one chance. You know, if your coach is not right for you, they have so many other opportunities in life to succeed. They have other students, they have other endeavors, but if you want to be like a world champ, you have one chance, one
Mhm.
opportunity. Yeah, into your life. So
100%. You know, coaching is an art form and I fucking love it. It lights me up. But at the end of the day, like I can wait till I'm 70 to get like a prodigy, quote unquote. But you can't do that for an athlete. You know, you got
yeah,
unfortunately you gotta do it when
you're just
the
stuck with
body's
yourself.
yeah, you gotta do it
Yeah,
when you're relatively fresh, right? Like
yeah,
if
yeah,
you're closing down on 40, like it's I mean, sorry guys, you're probably not gonna do it, you
yeah,
know, because you're gonna get an 18-year-old that's gonna recover in literally half the time.
yeah.
So you gotta
You go
take
out
that
there and
chance.
you go out there and you take professional losses as well because maybe you didn't have the right preparation. You can't hide from those professional losses. You know,
Mm.
sometimes you can't come back from them if you have too many. So there's yeah, once you damage not your reputation, but once you um put that kind of like um dent in your career, you can't come back from it. It's stuck to you forever.
Mm. You gotta
Yeah.
be you gotta be really protective of that, right?
Yeah.
Mm. I fucking love athletics, mate. As in, like being an athlete in any sport. I don't really care. It's just like you speak to people that have been an athlete in some capacity, right? Even if it's I played high skill buddy softball or something, doesn't really matter what it is. And usually they're more self aware individuals, and obviously
Yeah.
they develop the discipline and the hard work and whatever. And the word that kind of comes up a lot is obsession or obsessed, right? A lot of outsiders kind of label you with this word and just be like, "Now you're obsessed." Like this is a negative thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like to think back, and I'm going to paraphrase this quote because I can't remember the whole thing, but I like to
Yeah.
think back the quote from Van Gogh, right? Of like, I have dedicated my life to this art form, and in the process, I have lost my mind, but also that means I found it. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like you have to go down and everything else falls by the wayside and then you become obsessed, right? And then you peel back that right layer and you're like, oh, this is actually who I am. This is the individual that is living on this planet, right? And then you find who you truly are. And I think that's fucking rad.
Yeah. Very cool. I agree. I used to be I used to feel very obsessed and feel like it was a bad thing and feel like I had to hide the fact that I was from people around me because it made me seem like a bit crazy or a bit of a weirdo.
Crazy, yeah.
Um yeah. But now in the past couple years I've realized that the obsession is a good thing. The obsession is what's gonna get me where I want to go. Um, and yeah, like you said, it reveals who you are, and it's revealed to me that this feels like what I'm here to do. Feels like is at the moment is my only purpose is to do
Mm.
this. Yeah,
I also think seeing someone quote unquote crazy or obsessed with something is actually fucking attractive. And I mean it in an inspirational sense, right? You're just like, holy shit, this human being's like so obsessed with fucking playing chess, right? And they're like developing everything. You're like, the work that this person is putting in is so fucking cool just for this art form because it's all self expression, right? Whether you're an accountant, whether you play chess, whether you're a fighter, whether you talk shit for a living like myself, it's all self expression, right? Like that's
yeah,
all it is. And I think that's fucking cool. You know, rather than just being like, oh, I'm gonna see this individual like shining their light really fucking brightly in their own way, not trying to step on anybody else's toes, just trying to do their own way. Rather than looking at that and be like, oh, fuck that person, like, you know, they're arrogant or cocky or whatever. It's like, how about you look at it in a source of inspiration and be like, I'm actually going to draw for 30 minutes every night because I was pretty good in high school, you know, and I want to do my
yeah,
hobby again and just random stuff like that. Like, go fucking cut grass in a way that you want to. Like, it doesn't really matter what it is, right? And we've done a really good job of you can be this amount of things, a very small amount of things. You can be a doctor, you can be a fucking I don't know, sports person, and you can be a binman, and there's nothing else in between, right? And it's like,
Mm.
actually, like you can friggin' fry chicken well, or you could be like a really passionate bloody dad or mother or something, right? And there's so many other things, and I think passion and confidence is a beautiful thing. And most of the time, Western world, and I do believe it comes from the fucking stiff upper lip of the fucking British. And I can say that because I am British, right?
I won't say it, but you can say it.
Oh, I'll fucking say it to the high heavens. I don't care. I think it's, oh, you got to downplay yourself. I was like, fuck that, man. Like, just be yourself and let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like you said to like watch someone who's passionate about something. Whenever another fighter in our gym gets a fight, I get mesmerized. I love to just sit there and watch them train. Like when I'm not training, I just want to sit and watch them hit the bag and watch them shadow box and watch them go through all the motions because I know the thought process they're going through. And just like seeing their own individual expression of what they're going through. I could just sit and watch them like hit the bag and go through all the motions for hours on end. And I do it, and it's kind of creepy sometimes, but I just love to watch it, and I love to when I can, if they're close enough to me, get inside their head about what they're thinking as well.
That's that's another thing, right? Understanding other people's perspectives, even if it is in conflict of your own, and having the
Mm,
humility and the quote unquote safe space to be able to communicate that effectively. I think that's fucking awesome. You can
yeah.
turn around and be like, oh, actually, Alex, I think this. And I'll be like, wow, that's really interesting. Personally, I disagree, but I think that's fucking fascinating how you can look at it that way. And like, because of the background that you've had and the environment that you're in. And I think it's so cool. Like, we're like, yeah, what mental process are you going through? I do
Mm,
the same thing when I coach, right? Especially when it's weightlifting, they go for a lift and I'm like, what do you think about? What word was it? So, oh, I thought about
yeah.
this. I was like, yeah, now try and think about this one, and just learning from each other because that's what we do, right? Humans just copy.
Yeah, yeah. Or when you watch someone get like with a guy preparing for a jiu-jitsu comp last year, and you watch them just get like shark tanked round after round, and just watching them first you see them start to fade, and then majority of the time you see them push through. And I love watching their expressions and their body language and everything change when they decide, nah, like fuck this, like I'm gonna win this shit. I love
Uh,
it.
oh, mate, it doesn't matter what they do, right? Like in anything, someone
Yeah,
just stands up and goes, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm in,
yeah,
and then just starts like giving it balls to the wall. I think that's
yeah,
mesmerizing. I'm like
yeah,
glued to the telly, or glued
yeah.
just watching people. I was like, look at this chick go. Like she ain't taking
Yeah,
no shit. It's like, god
yeah,
damn. I
yeah.
think
It's
it's
awesome.
yeah, I think it's really cool, man. And I
Yeah.
think we probably need to do a better job in celebrating that, and celebrating the fact of we can then feel happy and good about somebody else doing that.
Mm,
Because a lot of the time it's like, oh, okay, that was cool. That was a cool story, bro. And then change the channel. Oh, it's over. I was
yeah.
like, no, 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 no. Like, go through the process of what this individual had to do. They had
Yeah.
to basically look the devil in the eye, bitch slap it in the face, and be like, you know what, bitch, I make the decisions, not you. And then get up and go again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always cool watching I love watching like the people who haven't fought before or only in their first few fights. I love watching them go through the motion because it's so um alien to them that I think they express their emotion a little bit more. Whereas if you get a bit further into fighting, you learn how to fight, like you learn a bit better to hide what you're feeling or poker face it, or you're gonna push through it. But watching the beginners is real cool. Like you watch the shock that like, and after the fight they talk about how it's so different to sparring, it's so different to being in the gym, and you just get to watch them go through the motions of it all, and it's really cool.
Mm. You see him
Yeah.
in real time, you're seeing a human being like learn on the fly, right?
Mm, yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I tried this and that really didn't work because I got fucking sucked in the nose. And it's like, okay, cool. So maybe I tried this way, you know. And I think, yeah, watching people try is
Yeah.
fucking epic.
Yeah. We had this one, I'll tell like a one brief story. We had this jiu-jitsu comp last year. I went and competed in it, and we also had a lot of other people from a gym compete in it. And we had this one guy, he doesn't train too much, like he doesn't really show up all the time, but he's just a gifted athletically. And to be honest, at this point, he doesn't have to show up as much as everyone else, and he smashes them. He's just so good. And he's in this comp and he's suplexing everyone, and he's, you know, he's throwing people in his first match. And then he realizes, it dawns on him that he's got 7 matches. So he completely, you know, power moves everything in the first match, and then you see him on the sidelines on the ground, like panting, like almost passing out, because, you know, he's not comp ready, but
Yeah.
he's just having a go. And then you see the next match gets called, and he gets up and he goes again, and he just pushes all the way through it. Then that match is over and he's on the ground again, almost vomiting, like heaving. We're all having like talk him into not going into cardiac arrest, and then he gets himself up and he competes again. And it was so cool. Like it's just so like authentic and really, really cool to watch that process.
Mm. I mean, you said
Yeah.
2 words at the beginning, right? Raw and honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I think life in its raw form is beautiful. You know, it's like
Mm.
really fucked up at times and a little bit messed up in others, right? And then you get this like whirlwind of emotion. You're just like, yeah, man, but that's kind of what we signed up for when we like first opened our eyes. You
Yeah.
know, that's kind of what it is, you know, rather than just kind of trying to numb ourselves and then have this mundane, mediocre, you know, everything's kind of the same, chilled, comfortable. I was like, fuck that, man. Like, I can't do
Mm.
that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I would rather, I'd rather go highest to highs, lowest to lows, and just kind of flick between the two like some sort of maniac than just kind of chill, cruise control. You know, I'm like, you know what? I get bored of that shit, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely need definitely just need, even if it's not sport, you need something really, I think, that excites you, something that you're really passionate about to pursue.
Mm.
um and the I think the fear of like not getting there as well is really important. Like I have the fear every day of not getting where I want to go.
Mm.
um but I think that's very important to have that as well, instead of just waking up and being like, oh, it's another day of just sitting in the office, you know.
I fucking love that because
Mm,
you know it's common to have like, oh, no fear, have no fear. It's like, why, man? It's a massive motivating factor, you know. It's kind of what gives you a little bit of oomph in your balls, and it's like, shit, this could go really wrong, you
yeah,
know. And
very
some
wrong.
very wrong, and sometimes you need that, man. Like, have something that scares the shit out of you
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
face it.
Yeah. I'm definitely more scared of not not reaching my goals, rather than any kind of like anything that can happen to me in the fight. I don't really care. I don't think about getting hurt in the fight. I don't think about, you know, breaking your nose or getting knocked out, but I daily think about not getting to the place that I'm trying to get to.
Mm. And I think that's a great motivator. I really do, you know. And I think a lot of people can take a lot of inspiration and a lot of good shit from that.
Mm.
Boss, I got 3 questions.
Yeah.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Ugh. These questions, I can never answer them on the spot. They're such big questions.
Yeah, man.
Um, if you're gonna nutshell it, because there's so many good things people tell you in life, but I think if you're gonna put in a nutshell, is to just try and be your best self every day. So whether that's with my fighting, whether it's with work, whether it's at home with your friends, just try and be your best in every aspect of life that you can. Just try
Mm,
and be the best version of yourself every day.
I like
Do
that a
little
lot.
things that make you, do little things that add up and make you better at everything every day. I have a lot of work. I often find that like I think because fighting is so selfish and so like raw and honest, I find that because I'm doing that for so many hours every single day, that sometimes I need to work on certain aspects of my personality outside of that, because you get so fixated on what you want and how you're going to prepare and where you're going and your schedule and what you need, that it I spend like 6 hours of a day doing that. So I often find that I need to work on other aspects of my personality, especially when you interact with people outside of the fighting community. So that's something I work on, as well as being my best just best self, trying to be a bit more outside of fighting, giving, and a little less selfish where I can be, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important. Definitely, definitely can fall victim to that myself. I can kind of get the work hat on, and if
Yeah.
my work hat's not on, my training's hat's on, and if I'm not doing that, I'm passed out asleep, right? And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
life
Or
is
you're
a little
just
bit
so
more.
tired, you're like, don't talk to me, I'm not going. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
leave
Yeah.
me the fuck alone. It's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no, Al, you can't be like that to people, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely kind of using
You
the
isolate people, I think, because you're so fixated on what you want and how you need to get there. You can tend to isolate other people in your life.
mm,
Yeah.
and that's not
So
healthy,
that's what
right?
I'm like, trying to be better in that aspect as well every day.
Mm, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's something personally I'm going to take from. Never mind anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's all well and good to put yourself first and put your goals first, but you'll find the balance as well.
mm, for sure, yin and yang, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the worst piece of life advice you ever received?
um
This one always gets a laugh.
worst life advice. It's probably, you know what, it's probably going back to what we said earlier. It's especially in my first few years of competing and training, um people were telling me not to get too invested in the result, or not to be too hard on yourself. I think that's probably the worst advice, because the result in a sport like this is everything. So how can you not get invested in the result? Like this, the result means either you're going to move forward and make a career and make a living and provide for yourself and your family, or you're going to get hurt and get nothing from it, and you're going to go back to doing something that maybe you didn't want to do. So I think when people tell you not to get invested, not to overthink it, not to put too much pressure on yourself, I think all that's wrong. I
Mm,
think you need to be invested, you need to be obsessed, and you need to put pressure on yourself.
I agree, but maybe because both of us are crazy and blonde. But
Maybe. Well, you're a natural blonde.
I am natural blonde, which probably means I'm a little bit more crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
true.
but yeah, I agree. I think you got to be hard on yourself. You
Yeah,
there's a point. Sometimes you got to take that foot off the gas. But if you're not gonna hold yourself to high standards, who the fuck is?
yeah.
So, at the end of the day, yes, hold yourself to that standard. Yes, do not do it 100% of the time. You need a little bit of slack.
Mm,
But if you're not gonna do it, your nana's not gonna be there 24/7. Get
yeah,
back in that gym and work out.
yeah. When I first started training, I remember I always felt so like, probably I felt a lot better than I was, because the team I had then, we were just, we weren't a professional team. I was an amateur fighter. He had a day job. He was just coaching for the fun of it. And every day it was brilliant, amazing, perfect. Like, that's so good. You're amazing. And then when I switched teams, when I went pro, I've got a new coach now. It was very much the opposite. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, you're not doing it correct. Like, I'm not going to tell you it's good if it's not correct. Things I thought I was so good at, he was then telling me that I was terrible at. So it was a big adjustment um to get back and try and perfect things. Like, don't do things at 60% and be like, that's good enough. Like that'll do. Like get it to 100%, even if you're never going to get it to 100%, aim to get it to 100%.
Yeah, good enough is
Not good
it's
enough.
I got a no, I got a proper gripe with that. Like it really like hurts my soul. Like
Yeah.
if it's good enough, I'm like, oh no, I can't be in this room if this is what we're saying, you know. Like, but
Yeah.
again, a bit of a perfectionist. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what are the three words you'd tell your younger self?
3 words. Do martial arts.
Love it.
I do really wish I started young. And when I have kids one day, they will start young. If they don't love it in the end, that's fine, but they will start. I wish I
Mm,
started younger. I didn't start till I was, I didn't fight till I was 20, 19 or 20. So, and you see all these kids these days, like 15, like I get beaten up regularly by this guy that's 15. He's better than me absolutely everywhere. And, you know, you look at him and he started when he was just a kid. So,
mm.
I sometimes, yeah, I think about how much better I could be, how much further I could go if I had started, and how much less trouble I would have gotten into younger if I'd started as well. So even if like kids don't do it to compete, be fighters, I think that they should all just do some sort of martial art.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. How much
Yeah,
trouble would I have not got in if
yeah,
I'd have got into a gym a little earlier, you know?
yeah, yeah. Would have made better decisions. Would have been happier. Would have sorted out a lot of issues a lot quicker.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
For
You
sure.
can't change the past, but I wish that others would. And my kids are 100% like doing jiu-jitsu straight away.
Mm,
Yeah.
amazing. Jacinta, thank you so much.
No, thank you. It's been good.
Appreciate
Good chat.
appreciate your time. Appreciate your perspective on shit. And if I ever get over to the Sunshine Coast, I'll come
I'm in
watch you.
Sydney.
Well, it's all the same to me, you know. But
Yeah.
but if I get over to Sydney, you know, even in Oz, it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
I'll watch you kick shit out of someone.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sounds good, man.
All
All
right,
right.
cool.
Appreciate it. Talk
Thanks again.
soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.